Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first KY Go Digital show of 2019. We are going to be sharing some awesome digital tools for littles today. So excited to have you join us. My name is Whitney York, and I'll be leading the show for you today. I'm a technology integration specialist at Murray Independent. I'm so excited to have our KY Go Digital team part of it today. First, we have Heather Worrell, who's the Executive Administrator for Digital Innovation and a consultant for KDE Library Media Specialist. Hey, Heather. We have Alison Langley, who is a teacher and special education facilitator at Hardin County Schools. Hey, Allison. Crystal Doolin, who's technology integration specialist at Corbin Independent. And of course, we have our two leaders for today. So I'd like to introduce Alison Gregory and Dana Dowdy. Allison is the lead learner at Symsonia Elementary. Here she comes. And Dana is a kindergarten teacher at Symsonia Elementary. And so I'm so excited to have these two on today. These are two great leaders in our region in Western Kentucky and throughout the state. So throughout today, we will be taking questions from the YouTube live chat. Allison and Crystal will be manning the YouTube live chat. So if you have any questions, please get on there and shoot those questions out to us, or you can shoot them out on the Twitter hashtag KYGoDigital. All right. Anybody have anything to share? Are we ready to jump in? Good? All right, so Allison and Dana, I'm going to let you all take over and share with us some of the amazing things you've done with littles with technology. So welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks. We're super glad to be here.
Our mic's on.
Yeah,
okay, so as you see, awesome stuff today. Listen, I got this. Every day I'm hashtagging. So make sure you hashtag Kentucky Go Digital. Oh, look, there I am over there. Today as we go through. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and share our screen, and I'm going to intro the fantabulous Dana Dowdy to you, and then I know you're going to be surprised, but I'm going to be quiet, okay, and let her share what she's doing with 5 and 6 year olds. Okay, so let's share our little thing and show them our intro.
Right. What's on it?
Just I like that slide.
Oh shit.
And Allison, while you guys are getting ready to screen share, I think it's awesome that you are rocking out the Happy New Year attire again. 2 years in a row. You kicked off our 2018 show, and now this one.
Exciting. Do you think I'll be here? Because I'll get that if I do. No? Okay.
We good?
Can you hear me? Can they hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, they can hear us. Okay.
Awesome.
So, hey, yes, I'm so excited to be back in this new year. We got new hats, new attire. So we're at Symsonia Elementary School down in Western Kentucky, Graves County, right beside Whitney, York. And I'm starting year 6 here. Dana, what year are you start? I'm 6 here and 19 in education. And what are you?
This is my 15th year in education.
Awesome. And so Dana is a kindergarten teacher, and I just want the focus of today to be about no limits in the new year. And so what better way to start that than talking about our 5 and 6 year olds? Because oftentimes technology, we put the limits on them. We do. Like, for instance, right here on my right, this little boy has already finished a book series in kindergarten. So we really try not to put at Symsonia, whether it be technology or anything else. And I'm just excited for Dana to share her journey with technology with littles, because I think a lot of times you'll hear from principals and teachers that they're too little, they can't do it. And we've just kind of proved that wrong here at Symsonia. So super proud of Dana and all our teachers at Symsonia, and excited for her to share with you guys today.
All right. So the first thing that I really want to talk about is getting kids independent. And here are some pictures of just our kids using Chromebooks, using our B-Bots, using the Osmo. They love Kahoot. So quizzes. There's so many things out there that people may think that kindergartners cannot use, but they can. You just have to find the way to use it with them. So I'm going to talk about kind of that journey from the beginning till this point where they're independently using technology. So I've got a little video I'm going to share of my kids. They are logging in to the computer. They from day one, that's what they do. They get a yellow card. I'll show that to you in a minute, and they get a paper that has Miss Alison Gregory has that, and it just has their first name dot last name on it, and the GCSD and their 4 digits, and they get that and they take that with them wherever they go, to the computer lab when we're using Chromebooks. And they also get another page that I adapted from Create to Learn that is just a keyboard that has their username and password on it. And they take that with them home, and they practice that at home. And we are lucky enough to go to the computer lab every single day. And I take them, and we do Lexia a lot of the days, or Symphony. We're getting ready to do some coding. And so those are the things, when we get in that computer lab, I don't log every kid on. Like, you can't. Like, there's not enough time. I have 25 minutes in there. Luckily this year, Miss Archer, our counselor, has gone in there. Miss Gregory has gone in there at the beginning of the year, and they have their yellow card, and their job is to start pecking away at the keyboard. And when I get to them, then I do help them log in. But maybe today a kid got 3 of their letters on their screen before I got to them, and then tomorrow they get 6 of them. So it's every day they're practicing that. And I would even say within a month, most of them are logging in. They may still have use their cards for their numbers, but they are rocking it out. And now they just get their bags, they go sit down with their headphones, and they log in, and they know how to do it. And it's pretty amazing. And it's not easy though. Like, you're going to want to.
Let's talk about that for a second. I said I was going to be quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're showing you is where kids get to in December, the first week of school. And that's what happens. Teachers quit because it is chaos. Okay. We get in there, and a lot of times kids don't even know what the letters are. Right? So you'll have some kids come to you that have been on a keyboard forever, some of them iPads, so they haven't. And some of them don't even know the letter keyboard. And so it takes the entire time for the first couple weeks just to get them on. So by the time they get onto what they're supposed to, it's time to leave the computer lab. So I do want to keep it real with teachers and administrators in that it takes a long time, but it pays off in December, because what you'll have places is they get logged in by their teacher or aide for the entire year. So they get to first grade and they've got no experience with getting logged on. So now, I mean, and it's chaos. They're all yelling at you. They're, hands up, and it is stressful. It reminds me what it would be like to be a kindergarten teacher when I'm in there in August. And so definitely, principals, you want to support your teachers in there and give them the extra hands at the beginning of school year. But now Dana's in, they're all logging in. You just saw that video. So I told her, as we were planning with people though too, I want you to know it's going to be in the beginning, but now phenomenal.
Hey, Allison, will you show that keyboard again? Because I thought that was a phenomenal idea, and that's something that anybody can do. Yeah, I think Dana's got it up. So she sends this home so they can practice where their letters are. And you're right, kids don't know their letters. So that's half of your battle. But I think that's a great idea. We forget, we send a lot of work home for students. We send a lot of things. We want them to read and do all these things. Why not this? So it's a great way for them to practice when they haven't had a keyboard.
It almost reminds me of like the new sight words. It's like the keyboard is the new sight word for the digital age. Very cool.
And we talked about last Thursday in our PLCs as a kindergarten group, like not even waiting till school. When they register their kid for kindergarten, this is going to be in their packet. So at least they've got their name. They may not have their password in GCSD, but they can start to practice their name over the summer.
And I got this off Teachers Pay Teachers. Create to Learn is a resource. I just adapted it, or I just changed some of the stuff on there. But it's really great. And what they do is when they do log in, I have a little wall in my classroom, and they get to put their name on the wall when they've logged in independently. So they like to see that. And we just celebrate that. And honestly, now, like, I don't stress. Like when you go to the computer lab at the beginning of the year, your heart races constantly because it's like herding cats, but you just gotta fight through it because, in the end it's going to be okay. And now we're at that point where it's okay. So they're on in 5 minutes and they're super excited and they get it done. So if anybody has any sort of,
questions,
or like how, I don't concern about how, I don't want to do this. Like, it's okay. You've got to be patient and know that it's going to be messy and you will get there. So that's like the first big thing is the logging in, because we want them independent, because like you can't get this other stuff done if they're not independent. And the next thing that I do want to talk about is vertical alignment, because it's so important that we build upon each other each year. Because I don't want to send my kids to first grade and them not be able to log on or them not be able to access Google Classroom. I want them to be able to do those paired so that first grade teacher then can move forward with them. So that's the biggest, thing with our school is we're trying to get vertical to build upon each other. So by the time with their grades, when they are one-to-one next year, the teachers aren't going to have to spend the time on, how to get here and how to use this program. They're going to know how to do it and they're going to get to go straight into that instruction. So we're hoping, that we're going to see positives with that vertical alignment.
That is so true, Dana. And I think it's something we forget with digital skills all the time. We taught students how to hold a pencil. We taught students how to cut with scissors. We taught students how to do all of those things so naturally. And this is not a new concept, but we have to teach them how to use those digital tools. They don't just arrive knowing how to use them. And sometimes they don't arrive knowing how to use them well. So they may be able to navigate to things, but they don't know how to use that information or those skills. So I think that's so true. And you've got to figure out what they need to do in first, second, and beyond and start building that. So that's a great point.
Well, and it's fine motor development too. Let's keep it real. A lot of them can't control the mouse at first. I mean, that's a lot to deal with. And if we don't allow them to build that and to learn that, then it's not going to happen and they're going to go slow into first grade. So definitely vertical alignment, not just with littles, but we as a school and a school leadership team have really been talking about that because our middle school went 1-to-1 2 years ago now. But they need to know how to type before they get to 7th grade. So, we as a school, we're talking about, okay, in 5th, they've got to learn to type. So as a school, definitely, even though you're starting with littles, you've got to think about what kids are going to need all the way up and vertically align that. So we're not perfectly there yet, but definitely the conversations have started, and it's so much easier for 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade when they've already been exposed to Google Classroom, and she's going to talk about that just in a second, and logging in. So
the next thing I do want to hit on is starting small. Don't try to climb a mountain. This has been something that I've undertook for the past few years, and I didn't try to do it all overnight. So you want to start small, and we're not one-to-one. I don't have a device for every student in my classroom. So you have to be creative in how you do that. You can borrow devices whenever you want to do something with your kids one-to-one. We have a computer lab, but a lot of times I use my Chromebooks that I do have in my classroom in small groups. So that's where they get a lot of Chromebook practice is within their small groups. I have a rotating small group every day. And they go to that center once a week. We have small reading groups, and we have small math groups, and we have small phonics groups, and we have a lot of small groups. But my reading group and my math group, both have them using technology. And we don't do it every day. We may do it once a week, because we want that balance. But I have a couple clips of my reading group. Some of my favorite tools are like Flipgrid. I have a little clip of them using Flipgrid. I love to use that in my reading group. They will read their story, and then they get to go back and listen to themselves read, because how often do kids get to hear themselves read? Mm-hmm. And we're working on it when they get better using Flipgrid. Then we're going to do it twice a week, where then they go back and read it on Friday. And they can compare their first read to their last read, and it gives them, a lot of feedback on, how am I reading? And they can also listen to other friends read, and they can get good examples of, good reading. And this is how I need to sound. And it just gives them something to strive for. So I'm going to show that. And in this, I have one student. He is his book.
There we go.
Yeah, he's logging into his Chromebook, and he's got that down pat pretty good. And he has his book this Monday morning. So he hasn't seen this book. This is a fresh read, and this is good for me because I get to see, how is he reading on that fresh read? What are the problem areas with these students? And then how can I solve those throughout the week? So,
because one of our issues now at Symsonia is we don't have people anymore. We don't have multiple aides like we used to. And so this allows Ms. Dana and even her one person that's in there to be able to hear all readers instead of taking an hour usually to listen to each kid and then try to wrangle the kindergartners in. So this with Flipgrid, look at him signing into Flipgrid. It makes me so excited that this is a 5-year-old doing this. So anyways, technology for Dana has helped her become a better teacher with individualized instruction for kids because of tech tools like Flipgrid.
Yeah, I was going to say, we really have to drive instruction. We so often think of tech tools as just this added thing, but it's a thing that drives your instruction. If it's not driving good instruction, then it's not worth using. So, I love that you found, okay, this is a thing we do, and this is going to save me time. This is going to allow me to give feedback to more students. This is going to allow for good instructional practice. Yeah, it's a tech tool, but you know what? It's a great thing to increase your instructional practice or make that better. So it's worth it.
And I think a lot of times teachers and admin even get into it and say, okay, you're going to do your fluency with them and they're going to put it on Flipgrid. No, I mean, because a lot of times we feel like there's more on the plate. She doesn't do that anymore. This is her fluency time with kids, and she is able to pull them up the next day and talk with kids who are struggling. But if this student's not struggling, does she need to call them up? No, he's just going to read it again. So anyway, super excited about Flipgrid in her classroom with fluency.
And I like to use Flipgrid. People think, well, I don't know how to use that in my classroom. But you got to think of the things you are doing and then think, well, how can this tool help me? You don't necessarily start with the tool. But this way, when my kids do go to first grade, second grade, they already know how to use Flipgrid. So, the way the first grade teacher, the second grade teacher wants them to use it, it doesn't really matter as long as they know how to use the tool. So they'll be prepared in that way. So they absolutely love doing this. I have 7 Chromebooks going on at the same time. So 7 kids are reading at the same time. I just kind of have them spread out a little bit. And then I have 12 kids in my group. So they read and they switch out with somebody. And it doesn't take too terribly long. I have to kind of limit the stickers, the selfie time, because they really get into that. But Mondays, I tell them 1 sticker. So they have been better at limiting the portrait time of that. But they really are phenomenal at using this. He's taking his little selfie. And then this is another one of my students in that group, and she's a phenomenal reader, and she is rolling right through that. So I really love Flipgrid. So anybody who thinks that kindergartners cannot use Flipgrid, they so can, and it is something that people should explore, even with 5-year-olds. Mm-hmm. All right, now the next, let me see, let me get that off there now. The small groups, once you get good with your small group and all your kids kind of familiar, then if you can borrow devices, then find a time during your day and use them in that way. I know a lot of times, last year I only had 13 kids, so it was super easy for me to grab my teaching partner's devices and have a class set. And we were able to do lots of hyperdocs, and we did lots of quizzes, games, and Kahoots, and lots of Google apps. I'm going to talk about those in a minute that I love. But now, you know, I can do it in my small group and it's no problem. So if somebody says, I don't have enough devices, you know, you can make it work. You can definitely make it work.
Well, and part of that whole doing whole group activities, are you getting into that?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you know, you see all these different tools we use, and then the other issue you've got with stress is, oh my goodness, they have to log into all these different things, and they don't. So Dana teaches them very first to get to the classroom. So classroom school. So everything comes from her Google Classroom. So all these she's getting ready to share with you, she just puts on the classroom and kids can.
Yes, I have my math group has their own classroom. So anything that I want them to do, that's where I put it. I make an assignment and they know that's where they're going to get it, because why not have one place to put everything? It just makes it easier for them. It makes it easier for me. And Google Classroom.
For sure.
So.
And kids can't read, so how are they going to know the instructions for this part in our group time? Okay, it's Screencastify. So that has been fabulous too, because if she wants them to get on Flipgrid the first time, or Kahoot, or whatever it is, she does a Screencastify to give them instructions on how to do that, so they can watch it as many times as they can. And a 5-year-old is doing this. That's the key.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to chime in real quick and just remind everyone, we're talking about kindergartners. All of these videos, all of these tech tools, we're talking about in relation to kindergartners using them. Real quick, over on the channel, we have some guests from Morgan County. I believe it's Chris Lacey, Alison Langley, double check me, Cynthia Bruno from Fayette County, who happens to be Melody Stacy's sister, and Cynthia is a rock star just like her sister. And then I think we had a friend from Graves County who was showing some support. Who was that?
That was Ryan Marchetti from Graves County.
Awesome.
Great.
I think too, Dana, what you just shared about, you know, and Allison, having one place for them to go, everything you just said, those are strategies for high schoolers as well as 5-year-olds. Giving kids one place to go. Why are you wasting your instructional time verbally out loud, repeating yourself over and over and over again? Having one place for students to go would be the first thing every teacher does. So take those same strategies. If you're an administrator or you're an instructional technology leader and you're trying, you know, oh, I can handle teaching middle school students how to do this. Those same strategies work for kindergartners. Teach them the first place to go, teach them this, you know, build up to those skills. They work for everybody. And I love that you said you use Screencastify to show them. These students know how to use YouTube. I mean, they know how to get to YouTube as 5-year-olds and find their favorite videos. So why not give them what they like and give them what they're engaged in? So I love that. But that's not just a kindergarten strategy. That's an everybody strategy. Now, I'll tell you, high schoolers don't have necessarily the attention span sometimes to watch the videos that we've made them, but it's still the same strategy of give them the information and let them go and discover.
Going back to, before I forget, about the starting small, there's a lot of things that you can do whole group that you don't need but your teacher computer, like Google Hangouts. Like we do those all, like we try to do those every couple of months. We have a map in my room. We map where we've talked to them, the people at, so they kind of get an idea of geography. They love to go. We go and check out, you know, they can see the front door of their school a lot of times. So they are always really curious about what their climate's like. And so that's a good way for me to throw in some social studies content. We've also been doing a lot of hangouts with like mystery snowmen. So we did a mystery snowman hangout where we created a snowman as a class. We set the directions to the other school. They tried to create ours from our directions, and we did the same. And we did ours on Google Drawings, and so we did it together. So I was modeling the whole time. This is where, you know, this is where you get your images. This is where you get your shapes. And then after we all wanted to do one on their own, so I just made it available to them, and they were able to practice making snowmen on their own using Google Drawings.
Using Google Drawings. I want to make sure people understand it wasn't like on the paper. We're using Google Drawings to make the snowman. So,
and they get, and you know, you can find who your tech leaders are in your class, and then they learn it, and then they're teaching other students. So I'm not the one constantly to do something. Like, they're more than willing to go and to your classmates. And so that takes a little burden off the teacher, because now there's not just one of you, but there's 6 of you. And they're just as efficient as you are in teaching them how to use technology, for sure. One other thing, like Kahoot, you can use Teams. And I start out with Kahoot Teams and then they do it individually. And this year I got, I brought my Google Home Mini from my house. And so we use that. We love using it. We use it for music. One great thing that we do is we check our math answers. So we started addition, and we'll just ask Google, what the answer is, and we'll see if we're right. Another funny thing is whenever we do word families, or we did it yesterday, it was hilarious. We were doing that and we couldn't think of any more words. And I'm like, well, what do you do if you can't, figure it out? And one was like, we asked Google. So that's like, so we asked Google and they gave us a bunch of new rhyming words. And so that's been really awesome. The best way though I found is when there's a word that we come to and they do not know what it is. We ask for the definition, and then we talk about it in the context of the story. So it's been a really good addition to my classroom this year. So that's something that I've kind of added this year. And it's kind of, you only.
Dana, can I?
Yeah.
Home to school, but it wouldn't work on our district Wi-Fi. Did yours work on the district Wi-Fi, or did you go another route?
No, it does. I just asked our CIO and his team if they would connect it, and they were not.
So there's a way they can do that.
They have to. Yes,
Okay.
they can.
Yeah, and we
had other people asking the same thing, and I thought, how's she doing that? Right.
There's a way. I have one on my desk too, and as administrators in here, we use it all the time. It does all the math for us in our office. So I don't know what I would do without that thing, but there's a way they can get it on there.
Hilarious. All right. So when we're talking about Google Classroom, I'm going to show you what my math is. So I'll share my screen. And we were doing, and I love getting things from Teachers Pay Teachers that somebody has already made, because sometimes, I don't have time for that, so I will find something I like and I know that will be beneficial, and I'll just buy it and my kids will get to use it. Now and at first, I didn't really know how to make them myself. So I use these, I got familiar with them, and then now I do make them for myself. But there's some that I do like from other people, like this one that they're going to use today. I made a hyperdoc, and we're learning how to make 10 in my math group. So they listened to one of our songs that we love, and then they did a Google Slides activity that I got off Teachers Pay Teachers. And then they didn't have time to do the Lino activity, but it's basically like Padlet, where they type in answers on little sticky notes. And I was having them write down all the ways to make 10 on the sticky notes, so that do they know how to make 10 at the end. But they have their little headphones on, and they are listening to the songs and navigating through Google Classroom. Now, I still have to, walk them through it, but I've noticed that when I walk one person through it, then they can walk their neighbor through it. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it, just like logging in. Like, they're not going to do it overnight. So you just have to kind of step by step and model with them a lot.
A couple of things I want to add there is, as an admin, and really not as an admin, but as a learning leader here, I like to see that, like, all the ways to make 10. Well, my friend Allison may have 7 ways you can make 10, right? And their next door neighbor have 3. It's okay. It's a way to differentiate for your kids as well. So we don't just set the bar here, come up with 2 ways. They come up with as many as they can. So again, it's a place where we put a ceiling on kids that we don't need to. And then the other thing, while watching this video with the hyperdocs and with her Google Slides right here, I would say to you, make sure younger kids, little kids, have headphones, because earbuds are too big for their little ears a lot of times. and they fall out, and it gets frustrating for the kiddo. So one thing we did last year as a school is I just bought headphones. Like, I stopped fighting the battle. It didn't cost a whole lot. I bought headphones for the entire school. So just a thought there.
And they keep them in a little bag. That's how ours do. Some of the older grades keep them in like pockets, but they go with them. They know where to get them, and that's where their login cards are. And, you know, it's all right there for them. But they, we usually do in math groups, maybe once a week, we'll do some sort of digital activity. And the rest are hands-on because, you know, they, at that age, they need that concrete hands-on learning. So it's not digital all day, every day. You know, there's a time and a place for it, and to get kids familiar with it and get good with it, but they, you know, they still need that hands-on stuff too.
Yes, and that's one thing we talked about yesterday. I don't want people to walk away from this hangout and think that's all we do. It absolutely has its place in the classroom, and it's not all day. They've got to have their hands-on manipulatives and being active in the classroom as well. So please don't think this is what it looks like.
I totally agree. Can you guys hear me okay? I listened to the Reimagined Schools podcast this morning while I was getting ready for work, and Dr. Greg Goings was interviewing this principal, and he said something that really hit me in the heart and soul. He said technology should be ubiquitous. You know, it's there, it's everywhere, it's in the background, it's supporting the instruction. And I really like that word, ubiquitous. And I think if you go to a school like Symsonia Elementary, you'll see it, but it's not the goal. It's just the tool to help them drive forward their learning targets and objectives and skills and all that good stuff they're trying to do with kids. So I shout out to Greg Goings and his guests on his podcast. He is the one who leads Reimagined Schools, but technology is ubiquitous. So shout out to him. What else do you have for us, ladies?
All right. So I realized, let me share my screen again. I was going to show a few pictures. This right here is some of the resources that I do. I want to give a shout out to these people. That's where I get a lot of my stuff. Della Larson's class and Candy class on Teachers Pay Teachers. I get a lot of my activities off of Google Slides that they've created, and they're super cute, and they're eye-catching, so the kids love them, but they're also great resources there. Alice Keeler has a bunch of great things, and also Christine Pinto, of course. I use a lot of her things that she's created, and she has them free on her website. So
and she's coming.
Yeah, she's coming to the Murray State Summit. So
June
super
11th
excited about that.
Was that June 11th, I think?
Yes.
If you all don't know about Murray State Summit, it is a completely free conference. So plug that, because there's not a lot of free conferences out there. And there are some big names coming this summer, including Christine Pinto, Matt Miller, Casey Bell, somebody else I'm forgetting, but some big names. So check that out, definitely. June 11th and June 12th is the summit. And
is she the KCAN 2? Is Christine Pinto the KCAN 2 movement leader?
Does she do that? I don't know about that. She does.
I feel like
the GAF for Littles, the GAFE for Littles, I know is her website. I don't know about the K.
Yeah, and she has a book, Google Apps for Littles, with Alice Keeler. They wrote that together. So she's she really can integrate the technology, and it'd be awesome to see her in person. So I'm super excited about that. So yeah, like I said, I do make some things, but those are people that I go to for the times that I do need resources.
Sure.
And they're good resources. And then the last thing that I want to talk about would be my Makerspace that I have after school. It's something that we started a couple of years ago. We wanted to find something to get our little kids involved. Really, always activities for your intermediate kids. They have basketball teams and cheerleading and academic team, and there's not a lot out there for those little kids. So we started a Makerspace about 2 years ago after school, once a month. So it's not, a huge commitment, but we have like 40 kids that stay every month. So it's a little hectic, but I have some help, and they do tons of hands-on activities. We have a Lego wall we got this year, and I've got some pictures I'll show. There are so many things that we do. I've got Bloxels over Christmas break. I haven't used them yet, but plan to do that. but we've made gingerbread houses. They did a cardboard carnival. They're just, we love Makerspace, and the kids love to be creative, and it's a way for them to be able to think outside the box in a fun way after school and get involved. So it's a great way for our kids to start to be involved with after school extracurricular activities.
And here's what I love about this. Do you see a Chromebook in front of kids right now? No. Makerspace for younger kids too, a lot of times we don't bring the computers into that. This is about them learning to be creative, use their imaginations, and they go to town. One thing I like about Makerspace now, our older STLP students, a lot of them will stay and help with Makerspace. But this is by far one of our biggest clubs, and students get choice of where they go and they rotate through, but we've got a lot of adult help now too, because they think it's just as much fun as the kids. So Dana has a lot of adults stay after.
Is that in the media center? It looks like your media center.
Yes. So I have all my stuff in there, and we get it out every month, and we try to find one thing different that we want them to do, whether it's some sort of STEM activity or and we make sure that's incorporated, but they kind of move around in stations so they get a chance to do everything because they want to do everything. And we pick one thing at the end of the year, kind of like a culminating activity, because last year we did the card-made carnival games, and I was blown away by how creative they were and how they were able to come up with the games. The year before that, where they used cardboard boxes and created and they wrote it into the movie and watched it in their car. So it was really cool. So Makerspace definitely has been a great addition to our younger kids' academic and extracurricular activities. So we really love that.
We got to go visit the Makerspace because we're looking at ways to incorporate some of these things into our libraries at Murray. And you all do not have a librarian full-time there, is that right?
We do not.
No. So, you know, what we're trying to do is look at our library spaces, and every school is different. What purpose does that space serve in our school? And it's different at every school. Sometimes we have a full-time teacher there, sometimes we don't. And what I loved about your Makerspace is it's, you know, I don't know what purpose that library is serving other than kids coming in every now and then checking out books. Probably that's it. That's kind of how, you know, a lot of spaces can be. So it kind of adds a whole nother dimension to that space, and it reinvigorates it. And it's easy. Like, you know, all the tools that you shared with me, most of them were free or low cost things that you can get, cardboard, supplies, those kind of things. And so I really think that's a great way to reinvigorate that space and get students creative and thinking outside of the box. It's just really neat.
So earlier in the start of the school year, we featured Katie Newton, who is a Kentucky Go Digital Library Media Specialist, and she did part of an episode and featured her Makerspace in the Library Media Center. And here in JCPS, that's one of our key strategies with our digital transformation and innovation strategy is Makerspaces in our media centers. So we're seeing that more and more across Kentucky. Our media centers are places for all different types of literacy and innovation, and really the mindset of the innovation hub. So it's really exciting. So that's immediately what I noticed when I saw Alison and Dana's media center being used for their Maker Club, just rethinking that space as a place for kids to get creative. So I'm totally in agreement with you guys. Very cool stuff.
And I mean, I think we're at the close points, but I do want to say, as far as technology with any level, you guys, it has to, and this goes to 2018, it has to start with the principal. So if you want teachers using Google Classroom, you might want to have it as your hub at your school for teachers to go to too. So a lot of times the integration of these tools has to start with the leader in your school. And, you know, Flipgrid, we used it first as a staff, and then teachers started using it in their classroom. And it's not the only way, but if you want something to stick, I think that's the way it has to go, is that it's being modeled by and then implemented by teachers, and they become a leader on their team. We talk a lot about finding your tribe at Symsonia and those people who lift you up, which Kentucky Go Digital is that for Dana and I, many other teachers across the state. But what we've shown you for tools for littles, the purpose is just to break that barrier. Do it because they're too little. They can't do it because they don't know their letters. They can't do it because they can do it. It just takes practice. And I think what you have to talk through to yourself and even your leader is, if somebody would have just walked in the computer lab, Dana's computer lab, on August 23rd and wanted to do a walkthrough, it would have looked messy and scary, and Dana would have had a heart attack, right? We can't, as a leader, I have to support that, and I have to know that, okay, keeping the end in mind, and that by December, this is going to work. And so there's a lot of teachers and principals who don't want to give up that control because it might get a little loud or somebody can't do it and this one's crying over here. But it's kind of like teaching and raising kids. They have to go through a struggle in order to learn something, right? And all of us. And so if we don't allow kids to struggle, we don't develop my favorite hashtag, grit. And so for these kindergartens, you were seeing video of them at the end, right? We should have, next August, we'll take some video of what it looks like in August. Because it's not pretty. And I want you to support each other, teachers. If you're going to go in there and try this with K through 2, support each other in that. Principals, go in that classroom, help them get through those first months, first few weeks of logging in, because they can do it. And my goal has always been, because I came from the high school down, I'm preparing kids for life, period. And so if I coddle them in kindergarten and first grade, they're going to expect to be coddled all the way through. Same thing with teachers. And so I'm super proud of Dana, not just Dana here, but all of our teachers, and the fact that they have embraced technology. And if you're not going to, you're living in, I mean, it's not going to slow down for us. And so we've got to get on the train and embrace it for what works for you. And so I will often say to my teachers, it's not adding to your plate. What can it take off your plate? Because now you have this digital tool. So thinking that way too is cool with littles. And of course, you can always come visit us.
I don't want to try to follow that, but I agree with everything you said. I second that motion. You know, our teachers sometimes are just afraid to take on those tools. And I've been in kindergarten classrooms. It is scary in there. And I'm a high school teacher too. And so kindergarten is like, I don't know, it's weird. We did Google Expedition goggles, and it's terrifying in there. But I will say I've been doing coding with kindergartners, and I have learned, you know, as a technology leader, I'm trying to help my teachers learn technology. The first day we did coding with the teacher said, now they shouldn't help each other, right? And I said, why not? You know, so we have to also, just like I said before, teach those basic instructional skills, kind of bring it back to that. Collaboration, communication, those 4 C's. We have to work on those things at all times, and technology can help you do that. Kids coding, kids on Google Classroom, on Flipgrid, all of those things help students build those skills. So it was, I've spent a lot of time in kindergarten recently, and bless you, because I don't think I could do that. But I love what you're doing. Of course, I love Symsonia. I love that we just got to visit. So definitely go visit that place. It is amazing. So love, love, love it. So
I just love it too, guys, as a mother of 2 kindergartners who, you know, I specifically asked, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that my daughters be put into a specific classroom, because I knew that it was a 1-to-1 classroom, a flexible seating classroom, just because it's so much a part of what I believe to be important in their education. And just seeing them come home with their little cards that they logged in, and they were so excited that they did it, and we celebrated. And I just think it's, you know, it's just a testament to what can be done, because there you guys are there in Graves County. You're 3 hours away from me, where we are here with a completely different, you know, background and completely different school district. And my kids are doing it too. So yes, kindergartners can do these things. And frankly, you know, it's setting them up for the skills that they're going to need to be successful through school. It's going to be an expectation of them in first grade and second grade and third grade. So yes, it's not too early. It's so exciting to see them excited about all the things they're doing and Ozobots and all the things they come home doing. It's just, as a mom, not just an educator, it's awesome. So Alison, we go way back 10 years. I know you're rocking it down there, and I've connected with Dana recently, and I know she's doing an awesome job down there with those kindergartners. And thank you so much for sharing all of that today.
And listen, you just talked about probably the third barrier for us of trying to get out of the box, Alison, and that is parents. Because you've got a lot of parents who say they can't do that. No, I need to help them. Or I don't know what Google Classroom is, so we're not going to. So we as a school too are talking about what can we do to educate parents. I mean, there are still adults out there that aren't in the education world that don't know about Google Docs, that don't know about Google Classroom. And so we really are trying to educate our parents and celebrating them when we have a kindergarten read a book series that the parent was like, no, they're not in. So I think as an admin, you got to think about all those pieces too. It's not just teachers and students, but your community, your parents, it's everybody.
Well, I'm so glad that y'all gave examples of that it's okay to replace, because so often, and this happens not just in my district, but districts around me, I know teachers struggle with the idea of, okay, I've got to add this technology thing, and then they end up overwhelmed, and by September, they don't want to do anything else. I'm just glad they can see examples of this is meant to replace that activity that you used to do. You don't have to keep doing that thing that came over on the arc and has been great forever. This is a new way to do it, because I think a lot of we're our worst critics. I feel like we are so hard on ourselves as teachers, and we know that that's a really good lesson, so we don't want to let it go. And sometimes we just need permission to do that.
Sure.
Let it go, Elsa. And move on to something that the kids are going to be more engaged in. So thank you for mentioning that, especially as an administrator too.
And it comes back to why, if something's good and you don't want to let go of it and it still makes sense, okay. But the why is because this is what our kids are going to now. I mean, the drawing of the Frosty the Snowman. We could have done that old school, right? And we cut out construction paper and we build our own and we show it to the camera. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not relevant. It's that big R. It is not relevant anymore in 2019. Does that make sense? So as a learning leader, coaching other fabulous learning classroom leaders, it is what is relevant for these kids right now. And so you go in a classroom and kids are bored in high school and they're, all over the place. A lot of that is because nothing in that classroom is relevant for them right now. And putting a laptop in front of them doesn't make it relative.
Amen.
And so just going one-to-one doesn't make kids more ready for 2019. And so that's why we've gone slow to go fast at Symsonia. I believe in that, because now we're finding tools that are relevant for kindergarten through 6th grade that make sense. It's not added onto, and it's not a babysitter. It is not a babysitter. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that.
I'm sorry.
I was on the soapbox the other day.
I'm a believer in technology. I use it every day. It's at my fingertips. I want my teachers to use it, but it's got to make sense. It's got to be rigorous. It's got to be relevant. When you go to Teachers Pay Teachers, and I know some of the leaders are like, you just have to make sure it's rigorous. And there's some things on TPT that make no sense. Don't buy it. And so when you've got that screen, go back to it. Look at what she's using, because she knows that's rigorous and it's relevant.
I love that, Alison. So often,
yeah,
so
it's
often we say, a worksheet on a Chromebook is still just a worksheet. So I love that. I love that, Alison, that you're just, it's not just something to do just to do, making it relevant and rigorous. I love that. And it can be done.
And that's where it gets overwhelming for teachers. They're taking their old worksheet and spending 2 hours putting it as a, Google Docs. Stop doing that. Give yourself some time and principles when you're going with this technology movement. It's not going anywhere. So embrace it. You've got to give teachers time. They've got to
And
have
remember,
time.
our end game through this whole digital transformation and Kentucky Go Digital movement across the state, our end game is that kids are creating and innovating with technology. And we know it starts from the principal to the teacher to the kids, but our end game is that kids get to create, not just regurgitate facts on a digital place instead of a worksheet. So how are your students creating right now? On our sister channel, JCPS Digital Learning, we have a virtual reality show talking about how kids are creating virtual realities in co-spaces. So they're innovating and there's applying all kinds of different skills to the creation of these virtual learning environments. So I'll always go back to what are kids, and this is a Marty Parkism. You know, Marty Park is our chief digital officer at KDE, and he always says, what are kids getting to do with the technology? What are they getting to create? And that's why STLP has been such a driving force for our work, because it really showcases that innovation that our kids are so capable of. And that's what you said, Allison and Dana. Kids can do it. We just got to give them the access. We got to teach them some skills, right? We got to teach them. They got to know where the keys are on the keyboard. They need to know some digital literacy skills, and then let them create. And oftentimes they'll far outrun us, outpace us, and we got to keep up with them. So.
All right. Any more questions, or does anybody have anything else they want to add? We're all good? All right. Well, I want to thank you both for being here. This is amazing. Of course, we're neighbors. Love you all. And I love learning from you. Every time I hear you talk, I learn something from you. And I just wrote down relevant over and over on I always take notes during this, by the way. So I took all these notes while I'm trying to talk and write. And I love that. Things need to be relevant. They need to be, and we need to get things in students' hands. Stop trying to recreate things. I love that. So thank you both for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Love all the resources that you shared. And Allison, I think Allison and Crystal, you want to tell everyone how they can connect with KY Go Digital?
Absolutely. So you can receive on-demand video support by subscribing to KY Go Digital Live channel on YouTube. If you're watching this, all you have to do is click subscribe to our channel. You can also go to our Facebook page. We have a new Facebook page, KY Go Digital, and you can follow us there. Most importantly, make sure that you are contributing what you're creating on the hashtag, which is KY Go Digital, so that you can continue to share your ideas and connect with other awesome educators across the state of Kentucky and beyond.
And I do want to share our next Crystal, I'm gonna let you go. I'm sorry, but I want to share our next show before I forget, because I've got 2 great teachers lined up for the next January show, and I'll get that date nailed down and out this week. But we are going to have 2 amazing art teachers from Murray, Gina Maley and Emily Chipman, who are going to share digital tools and how they use technology with art, not just digital tools for students creating things, but also sharing students' art and working with it. So stay tuned for the art show. It's coming. Massive creation.
That will go very well with the music show that we did. So maybe we'll have a whole new arts and humanities playlist for Kentucky Go Digital. That's awesome, Whitney.
Hey, can I also say principals, because it's hard. It's in the middle of the day. People are teaching. I know that too. But these shows on playback are great use of your PD time, PLC time. We call them learning sessions here. Put them in a room, let them watch the show that pertains to them. So I can't wait for the art one. I don't know if my teacher can get there, but it just hit me like, oh, that's what she can do at the next learning session is watch that show. So sorry, just another tidbit.
All right, Crystal, I'll let you finish. Sorry, I jumped in.
I was going to say, keep your eyes open for the summer regional updates. Our summer regional events were awesome last year, and we're going to be letting loose on some of that info very soon. So keep an eye on the hashtag for that information to connect in person this summer. Yay. That's it.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.